Now, from the other side of the aisle, Republican Senator John Kennedy. He is the author of How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington Never Will. And I got a copy right here, and I'm so excited to read it because your isms are really something to behold. And I hope that this book is chock full of them.
Thank you.
We've got some other topics, though, here today to talk about. We just heard, as you listened to John Fetterman, you know, he has bucked his party on a lot of things. And here's a glimpse, though, of what Democrats deal with when they go against their base. There's a heckler that went into a Jewish temple to spew obscenities at the leader of the Democratic House moderates for voting last week on the initial bill that funded ICE. Listen to this here.
9 people were killed by ICE this month, and you're throwing me out while I'm reading their names? How dare you?
So Tom Suozzi was one of 7 Democrats who voted with Republicans, and that's the reception he's getting at home. What does that tell you?
It tells me that the Karen wing, the loon wing, Bolshevik wing, whatever you want to call it, Jackie, is firmly in control of the Democratic Party. And whether we ever pass a bill, a budget for the Department of Homeland Security will require our Democratic leadership to embrace adulthood, because that's what this discussion is all about. It's not, as it should be, a discussion of the efficient use of taxpayer money and funding ICE and DHS. It's just the Karen wing of the Democratic Party wants to defund ICE. They believe in open borders. They also wanted to defund the cops, defund police. We know how that vampire movie turned out. Now they've moved on to defunding ICE. And the Democrats, the leadership anyway, not people like John Fetterman, but the Democrats are scared of them.
Mm-hmm. You know, Democrats are going to demand ICE reforms. We heard
they call them reforms. They really ultimately want to defund ICE. That's what they want.
And we did hear Senator Fetterman express some concern about their request to prohibit ICE agents from wearing masks. He's talking about the risks that agents face with doxing and violence to them. You know, what kinds of reforms, changes, whatever you want to call them, what could you get behind?
Well, I don't know. That's sort of an open-ended question. I will look at anything the Democrats want to propose, and I hope I'm wrong on this. And forgive me for being cynical, but I've been in the middle of this for a while now. And I know my Democratic colleagues are taking their marching orders from the Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez, Mayor Mamdani wing of the party, and they don't want to reform ICE. They want to kill ICE. This is all about defunding ICE. When we went through this with defunding the police, I remember they wanted to call it reform. No, they wanted to get rid of the police and replace them with social workers. And I said at the time, you know, if you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead. You call a social worker.
Right.
I mean, we live in the real world.
Right.
I wish our leadership among my Democratic friends was like Senator Fetterman, who just calls them like he sees them and doesn't much give a damn if somebody's upset with him.
And you take a lot of arrows for that kind of thing these days.
Well, look, Fetterman, I'm a big fan of Fetterman. We don't agree on everything. We don't agree on a lot, frankly. But number one, John Fetterman is what cool looks like. And number two, part of that is because he dresses like Adam Sandler.
There you go.
Know? But he's a good man. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't always agree with him. But I know he's in good faith.
I want to move to another issue, the economy. We had some Fox polls this week showing 59% of voters think that or excuse me, I got the wrong poll in there, but I guess we can ask you about this anyway. 59% of voters think that ICE's efforts to deport illegals is too aggressive. That's up 10 points from July. What do you make of that poll and the president's decision, despite that polling, to keep Kristi Noem in her job?
Here's what I think most Americans think. Number one, most Americans, at least those who don't have a history of disappointing their parents, understand that illegal immigration is illegal. Mm-hmm. And they understand that our immigration laws are not some second-tier statutes that you can break without consequence. Most Americans support enforcing our immigration laws. I do. Now, how you enforce them matters, Jackie. You got to enforce them in accordance with due process, equal protection, the standards set forth on reasonable suspicion in the Supreme Court case of Terry v. Ohio. It's okay to protest. You can't protest violently. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is based upon.
Yeah.
Dr. King understood that. It's also dangerous. It is just, I mean, these people are not protesting peacefully.
Right.
They're blocking the ice, they're burning Christmas trees, they're spitting in their face, they're cussing at them, they're kicking out taillights. I could go on. We've all seen that, and that's deep dish stupid. It's inevitable that somebody's going to get hurt. I'm not saying the shootings were okay,
Right.
but most cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff, and that's the situation that we have 99% of the time.
I got the other poll.
To answer your question, I'm glad Tom Homan is in charge, and I've told that to the president.
Okay.
He has a lot of credibility. He doesn't make snap judgments. He doesn't shoot from the hip. He knows what he's doing, and he's fair. And I've encouraged the president to let him run the show.
Okay, that's significant. I got that poll I was looking for before.
Yeah.
It's right here. 14% lead Democrats have over Republicans on affordability and helping the middle class. That could be a warning sign ahead of the midterms. The president says relief is on the way, especially when interest rates come down. He got his new Fed nominee in place this week, but getting him actually into the job got a little bit harder with Tom Tillis saying he's going to withhold his support on the banking committee that you sit on with him. Now, you know, if Tillis withholds his support in committee, that leaves the vote tied. There aren't a lot of good options to get his confirmation to the floor unless you try to bypass committee, which would require 60 votes in the Senate, and that could be real hard right now. Do you think that the Justice Department needs to just pull this Jerome Powell subpoena to try to get the show on the road and address some of those affordability concerns that are kind of flashing warning lights for the midterms?
Well, look, I think that poll was correct.
Okay.
When moms and dads lie down and sleep at night and they can't, they're not lying there, as the Democrats think, worrying about whether a man can breastfeed. They're worried about the cost of living. They're tired of having to sell blood plasma to go to the grocery store. They're tired of the increases in their housing costs and their insurance. I mean, I could go on and on. And it needs to be addressed, and I've encouraged the president to address it. And it's not enough to tell the American people not to believe their own lying checkbooks. They know about their personal finances. Is the president responsible for the remaining inflation? No, he helped get inflation down from 9% to roughly 3%. But it's still not enough. And every waking hour in Congress, and I've told Senator Thune this, my good friend, should be spent on trying to figure out what ways to increase wages and reduce prices, and we can do it.
Are you worried about losing majorities in the House and Senate?
Well, sure I am. I mean, I can't control the House. I mean, I trust Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise, but I'm spending all of my free time campaigning for my colleagues in battleground states, and it's going to be a fight. But the single biggest issue, I know immigration is important, and Venezuela and Israel and all that, but the single biggest issue on people's minds is cost of living, and in particular housing, for example.
Yeah.
You know, go to California, a refrigerator box behind an Outback costs $500,000. I mean,
Right.
that's obscene.
It's crazy.
And it's almost as bad in other states.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you putting it in plain speech.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you very much for your time, Senator. Hope to have you back again.
I wish
Always
you'd
great
have me
talking
back.
to you. I will, and I cannot wait to read this book. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Jackie.
Appreciate it. Have
Thanks
a
for
great
having
rest of
me.
your day. Thank you.
You bet.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.